Hello, everybody. Welcome to With Thunder's Applause, a podcast where two friends get together to discuss the events and ideas shaping our uncertain future. I'm your host, Steve, along with my co-host and wine opener, Zach. What is up?
Nothing much. I think we're 15 seconds in, right? Fuck, shit, piss. All right, there we go. Yeah. Not much. I was just getting rid of the pumpkins that I had since the end of the summer. We cooked up a few of them, but I grew way too fucking many, and they were starting to collapse under their own weight. It's pretty bad. So I gave them to the worms.
Very good, very good. That's one thing I miss pigs for, but chickens do okay. But pigs really go fucking ham, dude. They'll fucking straight up just like tear apart a pumpkin and eat it in like 10 minutes.
Yeah, if that.
And they fucking love it.
I imagine like a hippopotamus, with a watermelon.
Yeah, exactly. Except not quite. Pig mouths are actually pretty small.
Mm-hmm.
You got just enough, degrees of jaw movement opening to bite the shit out of you.
Crush bone.
Yeah. They can bite the shit out of you.
Yep.
But my pigs never bit me because
they're taking over. The Bormageddon.
Bormageddon.
Yeah. There's a guy who does the whole thing on boars. Nice. Pretty funny shit.
Nice. So this is Shooting the Poodoo, episode 51, I believe.
You are correct.
Yes, I just remember because I saw 50 last week and I was like, oh shit. Now I can stay on track.
Came it way. Good luck.
And today we have an eclectic mix of stuff as usual. We talk a lot about a lot of issues. Climate is one of those issues. Land use is another one of those issues. We talked about housing on Monday. And I thought that turned out pretty good. Always a work in progress here.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're not getting better, then we just are old and dying.
Oh no.
Oh no.
I can't afford to be that. I don't want to be dying.
Cool. So I think we're going to talk about a number of different things, but we have a lot of more casual or fun stuff tonight.
Yeah.
We got a parody song that calls Imperial leadership the proper names, and we also got another couple of sketches and other things from the interwebs that I thought were appropriate. One is on housing, and I wish that I had seen it last week or earlier before Monday, because I would have included it Monday on the housing issue. But, it's raining. It's rained a lot. We just had an atmospheric river. There's a shit ton of flooding. We're not going to tell you about the flooding, because if you read the headlines, you already know about it. Plus, it's fucking LA. You're like, oh, there's a bunch of water, running down the middle of the street. Oh, my God, it's crazy. And you're like, yeah, because you fucking paved everything.
Yeah.
So you wonder why the water's not soaking in the ground. Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I just saw a picture, it was like, the LA Metro, something or other, has sandbags for walkways. And I was like, that's it? Like, literally, it's one layer of sandbag, and people are just walking on top of the sandbags to keep their feet dry.
Yeah, it's a couple inches of water.
It's fucking scary.
Whoa. I mean, it's a lot of rain, and it still damages infrastructure, and it still costs governments money. But the reality is that this is not necessarily abnormal.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the frequency of these is increasing because of climate change, right? But generally speaking, this is bad land use more than anything, right? And so the first story we're going to get into is something we've discussed here before about Tulare Lake in the San Joaquin Valley near where you're at.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, pardon me, I'm sick, by the way, if I make weird fucking noises with my sinuses. I'm really fucking sick. I'm running a mild fever. I just tested for COVID and I tested negative, but I've been pretty fucking sick.
But he's here for you, because if it wasn't here for you, he'd be playing Valheim.
Yeah, if it wasn't for you, I'd just probably put another hour into a game that I put several hours into today.
Mm-hmm.
We've talked about Tulare Lake, right? Because last year we had a fuck ton of rain, a ton of rain. And they're like, oh shit, landowners are like, what do we do? This water's totally just inundating our land and making it worthless. It's like, well, that actually is a natural lake that you guys drained. And I came across this article because apparently It's at this point it's seasonal. It's not permanent. I think it always was seasonal.
Yeah, very little out here is permanent, aside from the
Yeah,
San Joaquin
and
River.
because it's so dry in the summertime.
Yeah.
But it might have been permanent at some time when we had higher groundwater tables or something.
Mhm.
But now it wouldn't be. It would just be a basin that catches it until it can fucking soak into the groundwater, infiltrate. At any rate, so all this atmospheric river we just had is bringing it back again this year. And I found this article to be really, really awesome. What's the where was it published?
Oh, it was Fizz.org, I think. Yeah, Fizz.org.
Oh, this was from Fizz also?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So the largest body of water west of the Mississippi disappeared 130 years ago, and now it's back. If you scroll down, the most important part that I wanted to draw attention to, we talk about land use a lot here, is that this is really driven by essentially a program of trying to expropriate land from indigenous peoples and avoid land claims.
Mhm.
To basically put enough inertia behind it, which is kind of like what you see a lot of times in land speculation, especially, is it's like, and what we're going to see with this, we talked about on Monday, this huge 1,500 acre development or whatever they're pushing. Once they get it approved and they start building, like there's no environmental review or whatever. They just do it slapshod. They are greasing the right palms at City Hall. In fact, the fucking the city manager was a former fucking city councilman and is like has really chummy relationships. He's been in the Republican Party leadership and shit. It's just a fucking incestuous mess here in Butte County and a lot of places. At any rate, he's the city manager, so they want to get this passed. And they're just like, "Oh yeah, you did the state compliance. The state doesn't look at it. It's the city's job to make sure they're complying with CEQA and all that other shit." So
Yeah.
they just pencil whip it, and then if someone else sues, and they're like, "There's fucking cultural artifacts here. Like you have to stop." They're like, "Nope, money's already moving. We're already done. Like it's committed. They're you don't have any claim to this as a cultural site. Like none of that.
Yeah.
It's just fucking bulldoze it, scrape it under, fucking build houses, sell them at a massive profit, and then pass the cost and the burden of the infrastructure, the sprawl onto future generations, right? And so this was an interesting thing that kind of fit in with themes we've been discussing over the last several months. And so until the late 19th century, the San Joaquin Valley held a lake more than 100 miles long and 30 miles wide, which is a big chunk of the valley. The valley's much wider on your end of it. My end is considerably more narrow. I think it's probably isn't much more than 30 miles wide where we are. That'd be foothill to foothill. But at any rate, Tulare Lake was the largest body of fresh water west of the Mississippi. It's really difficult to imagine that now, says Vivian Underhill, formerly a postdoctoral research fellow at a university. Scroll.
I'm glad you didn't try to read the whole university.
Yeah, research conducted while she was at Northeastern, Underhill described the lake's recent surprising return as a result of 2023's atmospheric rivers and the effects the lake's return had on indigenous communities, wildlife, and agricultural workers in the San Joaquin Valley. Remember, that's a lot of fucking brown people that don't have work if those land is inundated, because it's all fucking super dirt poor people, as we've talked about before. Once, Underhill said, there was so much water that a steamship could carry agricultural supplies from Bakersfield to Fresno and then on up to San Francisco, a distance of nearly 300 miles. That blows my fucking mind.
That's the impressive
steamships
part,
could
yeah.
still use the San Joaquin, I think, well past Stockton. I don't know how far south, if they got to Fresno or not, but they still use the river for fucking transport too.
Yeah, for a long time.
The ancestral lakes, in quotes, and connecting waterways that made such a route possible have all but disappeared due to irrigation. Called Paashi by the Yukut tribe, Tachi Yukut. I guess that's the band of Yukut. Tulare Lake was fed primarily by snowmelt out of the Sierra Nevada, as opposed to rainfall. And because there's no natural outlet within the valley, the water collects to form a lake. There is an outlet. It's just there's a low spot.
Mm-hmm.
The San Joaquin flows north into the San Francisco Bay. To many traveling through the San Joaquin Valley today, it's hard to imagine such a large body of water coexisting alongside such an arid landscape. But in the 1800s, Fresno was a lakeside town. One unnamed prospector, so here they get into primary sources. One unnamed prospector, she continues, reported there was driftwood piled in the trees of downtown Fresno because of the recent flooding. I believe it.
Yep.
Where'd the water go? And this is what I wanted to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The lake first began disappearing in the late 1850s and early 1860s, propelled by the state of California's desire to take public land and put it into private ownership.
Mm-hmm.
However, Underhill continues, when we say public land, that is historically indigenous land that the state of California blanket proclaimed as public. They really wanted to get land into private hands so that indigenous land claims that were ongoing at the time would be rendered moot by the time they went through the courts. This process was called reclamation and often entailed either draining inundated land or irrigating desert land to create arable farmland. Reclamation really was a process across the entire U.S. It was. In fact, there's a government agency called the Bureau of Reclamation.
Oh no!
If Go ahead.
People could drain that land, she says, they would be granted ownership of parts of that land. So there was a big incentive for white settlers to start doing that work.
Precisely.
It was a deeply settler colonial project that proceeded in fits and starts. The first time the lake fully disappeared was around 1890, when its waters essentially was used to irrigate all the arid lands around that area. Now the valley. Okay.
No, the valley is crisscrossed by hundreds of irrigation canals, which were originally built to take the water out and put it onto fields.
Mm-hmm.
So they used the water to irrigate farmland, and in the process, they improved the land, and therefore you could be like, well, we improved it, so it's ours.
Yeah.
Because that was the kind of that's how we stole land from Indians.
There are areas around here that are county islands still, and they have canals in that area. And if you didn't know that it used to be farmland, you'd question, like, why are there all these open canals here? It's like, well, we used
urbanization.
Urbanization made them,
Sprawl.
made them pointless, and so now we just have this, relic that everyone gets to deal with. But
they probably use it to direct stormwater.
That's its main use now.
Away from the city. Yeah,
it's the main use now. But it's fun to ride your bikes along there, when it's a nice day.
Yeah, it's something, right? Some kind of public easement that you can use.
And it's usually well kept because they need to service it. So.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, the maintenance roads, they trim the trees back and all that shit. Cool.
Yep.
Cool. Tulare Lake Posh, came back in 2023. California just got inundated with snow in the winter, then rain in the spring. If you have a rain and snow event, the snow melts really fast.
And all that snow and rain in the Sierra still runs into the depression where Tulare Lake once sat. For more information, please read Vivian Underhill's The Return of the Poshi.
Poshi, Colonial Unknowing, and California's Tulare Lake. Very cool. Rethinking Waters, Place, and Community. Sounds like a cool edited volume. It sounds like she wrote a chapter or a paper that was included in an edited volume.
Mm-hmm.
Cool, man. So there's this kind of enclosure of, or rather theft of indigenous lands by the state of California, which had just become statehood in 1850, right? Declared all the native lands public. And before the natives could be like, wait a second, like, we've been living there for fucking generations or since time immemorial, according to their mythology, but at least for generations, right?
Yeah.
You can't take it from us. They said, okay, well, we're going to improve it and say, well, they never improved it. It was just a swamp. I made it valuable, so it's mine. It's really fucked up. But I just thought that was an important part of the story that we hadn't really discussed. And that was just a really succinct article to kind of really hammer it home. Moving on to another kind of exercise of state power to fuck people over.
Mm-hmm.
And this one's kind of this would be worth a good debate, I think. There's something called ultra low emission zones that was rolled out in parts of the UK and now, or parts of London, I guess, on the major motorways. And
Okay.
now it has expanded to every borough in London, in the greater metro area, which is like London's a fuck ton of people. It's like
Mhm.
almost 10 million people, I think, in the metro. It's a lot. It's fucking big. It's
Mhm.
dense. Um, and so the way that they do this, and we're going to talk about it, so we don't need to show much about it. But basically, I was drawn attention to it because I see a bunch of videos on TikTok, on YouTube, YouTube Shorts, um, of people just like spray painting cameras, tearing cameras down. There's like door to what are the door cameras?
Rings or whatever.
Ring cameras, yeah. Like catching somebody like walking down the street all dressed in black in the middle of the night, and they take a fucking angle grinder and they go and they cut the fucking post off and all this shit. So we're gonna show a quick short video of what I'm talking about here.
Spray paint
Yeah,
it,
and so you
then kick
see
it.
lots and lots of different iterations of that, but essentially they're just disabling these cameras. And it's already pretty well known that like London is a highly surveilled city. Like the city government installed fucking cameras everywhere as kind of like an anti-terror thing. Um, and they just use it to surveil fucking poor people, right? Because you don't see a lot of those cameras in the nicer neighborhoods, right?
Mhm.
But these ultra low emission zone cameras are fucking insidious. Like, so we're gonna go through it right now, but the gist of it is, um, if your car doesn't meet certain emission standards, you will pay $12, or sorry, £12 50 pence, 12.50, right?
12
A
pence fitty.
day. What's that?
It's a 12-pound fitty.
Yeah. Per day, you're driving in an ultra low emission zone, which is the entire fucking city now, right? And they started with like congestion pricing, where like if you used like certain like expressways and other ways of like that really facilitated automobile traffic in the downtown or in the busier air parts of the city, they'd make you charge a fee, which is kind of like um DC does something similar, where like you have to fucking pay for a pass to use the freeway at all during certain times of day.
Mhm.
And that's just because they open both lanes. Like you can't use a freeway to get out of the city because everybody's coming in. They open up both sides of the freeway. Um, at any rate, and you have to carpool too. Like you can carpool, but you can't fucking solo drive. And so that's
Mhm.
why a lot of government agencies and other like large firms and stuff in the DC metro area, they pay for shuttles, and they just have shuttle service for their employees because
Mhm.
shuttles get a fucking pass because they're a commuter vehicle,
Yeah.
which I think is fucking phenomenal because
Yeah.
there's not a lot of space for parking. And like if everybody tried to drive into work, it'd be a clusterfuck. And that's one way to do it, is be like, no, you cannot drive your own car.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can take our public transit system, which is actually pretty fucking good. You can take any of our any kind of private shuttles, and there's public buses and public shuttles too.
Anyone
And
who's
then the
paid enough
agencies
attention.
operate their own. Yeah.
I was gonna say anyone who's paid enough attention to me, knows that I don't mind a little bit of a heavy hand from the government if it's in the right direction.
Yeah, we were talking just on Monday. We're
Yeah.
like, why do we always talk about fucking carrots? Why do we have to incentivize fucking evil corporations to do the right thing? No.
Mhm.
Or incentivize people to do the right thing. Oh, we're going to give you a $5,000 rebate if you buy an electric car. Like, I don't like the push on the electric car because it's a bright green light, as we've discussed on this
Well,
show.
not only
But
that, but go ahead. Go ahead. I'll
no, I think that I don't think that exercising a little bit heavier hand is wrong.
yeah.
I suggested the city of Chico only have small parking spots and have somebody that's paid to go around and find everybody that drives a monster truck. Because we don't have space. They take up 2 or 3 larger parking spaces.
Yeah.
But
and you have to make
they mess with their emissions and stuff.
Yeah, and you got to make your parking spots deeper if you want to accommodate and then every single spot, that isn't marked as compact, needs to be for a big ass vehicle like that. And it's not just monster trucks; it's like SUVs and
Yeah, no, that's what I
fucking
mean. Just big
yeah,
pickups and SUVs and shit.
yeah. My main concern with this one is the daily charge and the requirement for the ULEZ compliant vehicle, and then they come right here and they, show it off.
Well, that site that I provided
Yeah,
is a car dealership.
yeah. But I mean, so basically, if you can't afford a nice vehicle, used or not, then you have to pay a big fee. It seems like it's just meant to hurt the poor.
Yeah, and
Because who
also,
needs to commute?
I'm not super familiar with how it was rolled out. I think the congestion pricing started when Boris Johnson was the mayor of London, so that was a hot minute ago
Mm,
because he was then prime minister and is now no longer prime minister and hasn't been for fucking a
a few
hot
years
minute.
now. Yeah.
So this is a while back that they really started rolling this shit out. But again, like you said, okay, you can't, like, we are implementing it. We told you we were going to do it 2 years ago and you didn't buy a vehicle.
Did they
All right, I
offer a
can't buy
cash
a
for
vehicle.
clunkers thing, where you can get a nice credit towards a new car? Somehow I doubt it.
No. I don't know. I don't know all the details. I don't want to say I know all the details, but it seems pretty fucking draconian to charge people $12.50 a fucking day
Hmm.
to drive in the city.
Well, and
Like,
who's commuting? Not the rich. They live in that area.
they either live in nicer areas, but also like they might commute in, but they don't give a shit.
Yeah.
It's the same with traffic cameras. I think we might have discussed. Like, at least my experience in Dubai, or what I was told by someone who had been living in Dubai for a number of years,
Hmm.
is like traffic cameras are just for the fucking workers. He's like, anybody that's like fucking actually an Emirati, they have that fucking oil money and they don't give a fuck. $100 to them is fucking nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That represents an hour's worth of your life for someone who's just, working a Joe job. And for a rich person, it's like, oh yeah, I made that in a quarter of a second.
Yeah, that's fucking nothing. Like a hundred fucking. It's not $100, but it was a fine that would probably be equivalent to like mini dozens to $100, and it's like nobody gives a shit. The only people that do are like all the fucking poor workers,
Hmm.
and it's kind of almost a way of like keeping them there and working for low wages, because once they get fines, they can't get fucking cleared to leave, or they can withhold
Mm.
paychecks and shit. So here is a nice article that actually explains this. The history of the ultra low emission zone, London's ambitious journey to a greener future. Ambitious or draconian?
Future. Yeah, they don't offer that option, Steve. Do you see that? That's not one of the things that they've given us in terms of thinking about it. So I think this might have a single way of looking at the subject. Let's find out. Because 2 months on from the London-wide expansion of the ultra-low emission zone, Intelligent Transport's Leah Hockley journeys through the history of the ULEZ and considers the progress that has been made since its launch in 2019.
So 4 years ago, they rolled it out in a limited fashion.
Yeah.
Also, just want to point out, how many new cars have you bought in the last 4 years?
0.
When was the last time you bought a car? 6 years ago?
2018, 2017? I think it was late 2017.
So 7 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah, I bought my 20, or it's now 21-year-old car.
I was
I
going to
bought
say,
it. Yeah, it's a 2003. I bought it in.
the fucking whale.
Yeah, I bought that shit in 2016,
Hmm.
2017,
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
and it barely has 100,000 miles on it. And if I didn't want to get better fuel economy and also want a pickup truck so I can sell the shitty pickup truck I got and the car I got and just have one vehicle, I wouldn't be shopping for a car right now, because I got at least another 5 or 6 years on that fucking car.
You got to get I don't know, truck people will probably or hate me, but you got to get a Chevy S10 from late 90s, early 2000s, or a fucking or what was the Toyota equivalent? forget,
Oh, the
but yeah,
Tundra.
yeah, like that light, truck from that era.
Oh
They,
yeah.
they don't make that shit anymore. And like,
No, I wish they did.
yeah, and the thing is, they didn't have the extended cab, so it wasn't meant for your family. It was meant for transporting like a couple of people to a work site, but it
That's
had
kind of
a
what I got
long
right
bed.
now.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't take it on like a long trip. It's kind of
Mm.
janky.
Yeah. And that's why you got to have two vehicles, unfortunately
Yeah.
for you.
Or just get one pickup and get like I'm trying to find a hybrid, but there's so few of them.
No.
But yeah. At any rate, we're not talking about me buying a car. We're
We
talking about
could. We're shooting the
ultra
Poodoo,
low
son.
emission zone. Carry on.
Let's see. Back in April of 2019, just 3 years after becoming mayor of London, Sadiq Khan introduced the first area of the ultra low emission zone. The plans were announced by old BJ in 2015, but it did not start until much later. Let's see. He delivered it a year early. That's pretty good. I'm sure he ran on that the next time he came up for election. Covered the same areas of central London congestion charge. Covered the area from King's Cross to Vauxhall in the south. And they were required. Oh wow! Initially, drivers coming in and out of central London would have to pay the required £17.50. So that $12.50 that we saw earlier didn't include an additional surcharge of $5, a congestion charge. And of
Yeah.
course, there are the compliant vehicles, and you have to, wonder like, how do you get put on the compliant vehicles list? Like, who do you got, a Boris Johnson, to get that?
That's right. That's right.
Let's see. There's so many signs blocking up the scenery. It's breaking my mind. It expanded, of course, because it probably got them a lot of money. The new zone was 18 times the size of the original central London zone and covered 3.8 million people, fully 38% of London, 380 square kilometers. Interesting. More people than you would think based on the percentage. Let's see.
They're like 87% already met the standard, so they're just
Yeah,
fucking over the 13. The poorest 13% is what they're saying.
yeah. And so it sounds like they're just kind of like scaling it back. COP26. The mayor announced at the time that he was considering a number of policies to encourage Londoners and those who drive within London to shift from polluting cars to electric vehicles, public transportation, and sustainable active travel, such as walking and cycling. And the thing is, like, London actually is amicable to walking and cycling. The roads are sometimes narrow as a holdover from older times, but like, walking, it seems like my experience was it was pretty well built for that. So I appreciate that. Let's see. They wanted
I
to.
just
Yeah,
want
go
to
ahead.
point out that meanwhile, this fucking emission shedding scheme that I mean, there's all sorts of other positive benefits. I'm not saying that like reducing automobile traffic in a major city is a bad thing. It just seems pretty draconian when the UK is flying its fucking paratroopers to California to practice jumping out of a plane in case they need to go like overthrow some government somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And like just like our military is the single greatest fucking greenhouse gas emitter on the planet,
Mm-hmm.
the UK military is probably also pretty bad. Their
Yeah,
military
and
is significantly smaller in
mhm.
both its footprint and its size, and its capabilities. So I imagine it has significantly less intense greenhouse gas footprint than the US military. But nonetheless, it's like, oh yeah, we're gonna fucking start charging people who can't afford a car or who just want to drive an old car. Like there's a lot of really cool old fucking European cars. Right? There are a lot of fucking cool European cars. You say you want to just drive a classic car. Nope, you
Yeah.
can't.
No,
You
not
can't. You gotta pay
can't. Not
$12.50 a
can't. You
fucking
just
day.
pay. Yeah, it's the nostalgia tax.
The thing is that like there are so many causes of emissions. Like
Mm-hmm. They're trying to
Jesus
put the
Christ.
burden they're trying to put the burden on people when in reality it's governments and massive, corporations that are using, fresh water and you're polluting it. And then you also have all kinds of other abuses of the land. So the this is very similar to the whole, recycling plan that America had in the mid to late 90s and early 2000s, where you had recycle Rex, and they were trying to be like, oh yeah, the onus is on you to save the planet. You know, Captain Planet was on the air. It was all about putting the burden back on the average citizen instead of putting it where it belonged. Like the companies that are making it so that rivers are on fire and shit like that.
Well, I think there is a little bit of equity in that, like, that society has more wealth in aggregate because of its historic carbon emissions.
Mm.
And I said this about the Netherlands too, right? When the farmers were freaking the fuck out, and it's like, no, y'all are fucking wealthy because you like what? How much methane and carbon dioxide did you put in the air when you fucking dug up your fucking peat bogs that were massive stores of carbon and burned them?
Mm-hmm.
Right? Massive historic contributions. But, and especially the British, because they had a fucking huge empire and they put trains everywhere
Mm-hmm.
to extract, to deforest, to extract, coal and oil, and all this stuff. But like, the reality is that these societies are also very unequal. So I'm like, go to all the fucking large old organizations that have these massive fucking foundations.
Mm-hmm.
Take that money, because
Yeah.
that's the fucking industrial wealth. That's where it's parked. You tell some fucking dude who like scrubs fucking toilets to try and pay his fucking rent
Exactly.
that
Yeah.
he has to pay $12.50 a day to drive into work, because it's 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
Every single day but Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah.
fucking absurd, because it doesn't matter if the society in aggregate has more wealth. Like, the societies are very unequal. I would not say to poor fucking, even poor white people in the United States, and be like, you should be on the hook for the US fucking carbon emissions, because they didn't get to benefit. They're not wealthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? I mean, we benefited. We all benefited.
I mean, we need a great leveling, just where we level the playing field.
That's why I fucking fantasize about fucking just seeing a flash in the sky and being like, yeah, it's finally here.
I mean, that's one type of leveling. I was hoping for more of a
Pitchforks and
French,
shit.
yeah, like French type of leveling, where there's all kinds of heads flying and whatnot.
Yeah, level their necks.
And we
to
just
their shoulders.
ultimately, put the fear in people and like treat greed as the psychological disorder that it needs to be. Like,
I like that.
there's just no way to excuse the level of greed where you can see other people suffering and just being like, yeah, but I need more. Be like, really? Aren't all your needs taken care of? Yeah, but I feel like I need more. Like, great, that
But
is
that's the
a
game.
disorder.
The game is
That's a
to
disorder.
accumulate more. Yeah.
Oh no, like that's a disorder. Yeah, exactly. Like you were told that this game is a way of life, and I'm sorry, but it's wrong, and you have obtained a disorder, just as a lot of other people who got exposed to external stimuli now have disorders, and we're gonna treat you. And sorry, we're gonna take your wealth, and we'll all just play Monopoly, and that has to be good enough. Or fucking play Magic the Gathering. Come on, Elon, you'd love Magic. It would tax your big brain just enough. But I don't think he could place first in the world. Not even once.
Nope.
Am I egging him on? Absolutely.
No, there's some fucking Chinese kid that's got it fucking for real.
Well, yeah, that's because his parents are, like
Yeah, his
threat
parents
of
make him
death.
fucking play all day. So you don't want to play Magic anymore. You will be the best. Anyway, it's working. It's doing what it's supposed to do. 97% of the vehicles seen driving were meeting the strict ULEZ standard, which increased from 87 the weeks before the zone expanded, and from 39% in February 2017. So they have gotten people.
Mm-hmm.
Also, they're having lower nitrogen dioxide emissions and other noxious gases.
Unfortunately, that means not a lot of street racing, because as we know, NO2 is nitrous oxide. And you need that in order to go fast. Or at least that's what we were taught by our racing.
So yeah, so the air quality improved. I'm sure the traffic went down. People bought new cars, so I'm sure it helped the automobile industry, which is like you're incentivizing industry, which uses a fuck ton of fossil fuels, right? By telling people that they're being bad because they're driving a vehicle that makes emissions.
Yep.
Whatever.
And claiming that you're now ultra low emissions. And it's like, yeah, but what about the parts of the world where all the vehicles you bought were made? Are they ultra low emissions?
I want to see their fucking portfolios.
I
want to see which politicians invested in fucking clean car companies before they fucking pass this shit. I guarantee they all made a bunch of money.
Yeah.
So the transport for London plan that was announced in March 2022 expanded the low emission zone to where it is now.
Yeah.
And we can move on from this. It's just fucking
it's
a little history of the ultra low emission zone and what they
check out if you want to.
Absurd it is.
Yeah, but again, the main story for me is that it is putting a lot of burden on people who can't afford it, and that's never great.
Exactly. So moving on, we're gonna now show something that a little sketch I saw related to housing that I thought was fucking hilarious.
Yes.
Hey man, can I ask you a question?
Sorry, I don't have any money.
Do you rent or do you own?
What?
Where you live, do you rent or do you own it?
I rent. Why? What do you...
Well, maybe you should help me out because I'm all that's keeping your property value in check. Like, things are good now, right? But if I go, it's gonna get much better. It's either me or a Whole Foods. And you don't look like you're making artisanal bread money.
You know something? You're right. People like me, we need people like you. Here's $10. Go get yourself some spray cans.
Thanks, man. And with the rest of this money, man, I'll get drunk enough to take a shit on your stoop.
My man.
Yeah. Hey, man.
My man.
I love that shit.
Pretty good.
It's also sad because they're making light of fucking homelessness, but at the same time, like,
but it's true.
Kind of is a satire. Yeah, go ahead.
No, it's truth, and you can see it happening around us here because there is if you look around there where I live, there's two major open spots, and they're next to the freeway, and so they've never been developed for businesses because there's already so many places for businesses to establish, and they haven't been adopted for housing because it's by the freeway and no one wants to buy that, and developers can't make a lot of money selling large houses right next to the freeway. What's their solution? Hotels. Massive hotels. And so, like, what do they do though running up to that? They run all the homeless out over and over again because there's actually a lot next to that lot that is currently occupied by a lot of homeless people. And so, like, from the hotel, you can easily see that. And that might dissuade you. And so they're doing their best. They do the old, round them up, take their shit, put them in jail for a while. But what really saddened me, be above and beyond the normal level of sadness, is they went into the field and basically like dug massive furrows so that it would get really muddy, so nobody could sleep there anymore. And they didn't do it to the whole thing. They did it just to the first like 100 feet or so. So you'd have to like walk through it every time you wanted to go in or go out. But yeah, they basically turned it into a giant muddy mess.
It's called hostile architecture.
Yeah.
Like when you see spikes on or benches with bars on them.
So they replaced all of the benches here with those benches. And worse yet, though, they took away the sunshades. And the thing is, like, on a hot summer day, you fucking need that shit because it is hot as balls out here. It doesn't matter if you're homeless or not. But they know that the people that take the bus are not exactly those with great wealth, and so their opinion really doesn't matter. And so
their opinion doesn't matter.
Yeah, so you just take everything away.
If you can save somebody in their fucking Range Rover from having to look at a fucking poor person, more power to you.
We've
accomplished what we were elected to do.
They should just do pods.
People don't have to look at fucking poverty.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, I mean, facetiously, they just make pods where everyone who's waiting for a bus is just in a pod, and they stick the pod on the bus. Go full Elon and just be like, oh yeah, we have these pods. We stick them on the bus. It's great. They're all air conditioned. Nobody has to see anybody.
I have seen so many innovative solutions for RSOs. Where you said pods, like you
How
can
many
make
are
these like
pod based?
two-story pods, and you can go to one of these fucking box stores
Mm-hmm.
that's completely empty because the box store model's dead.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Kmart that's been vacant since Kmart went bankrupt fucking 6 years ago.
One of our
And
Applebee's is
fill it
gone.
full of fucking pods and make it an RSO.
Yeah.
Charge people $10 a night to cover your expenses. $10 a night. And guess what? The vast majority of people who are homeless have a fucking income. $300 a month for renting a pod?
Yeah.
Because that's what $10 a day would be, right?
Yeah.
$300 a month.
As long as you can
Most
shower.
people would be like, "Yup, I'll do that, and I'll have a cell phone, and I'll fucking make a communal kitchen, and I'll buy a meal there for $3 every meal."
I forget. I think if you have a Planet Fitness a membership, I think once a week they have like pizza, and a membership is only like $10 a month, and so you basically are paying $2.50 for pizza if you just go for the pizza, and or shower or something like that. And they're basically making so much money off people that don't go that they can afford to do that. And so like I went and I saw a lot of people there that I'm just like, you guys barely move around. You're not doing a whole lot. You're kind of older. You're either here because you want to like, be active and get out of the house, which I totally understand, or because you're homeless and this is where you take a shower and, this is where you spend time because it's warm in the winter or cold in the summer. And I'm just like, for $10 a month, that's a fucking tremendous deal.
Yeah, for real. Yeah. More power to him. All right, moving on. I think we're on our last thing, right?
We are on our second to last. If you still want to do Genocide Joe.
I do. Second to last it is.
All right.
I don't even know what it is. Surprise me.
Oh, this? It is... Boop. The
Oh,
AI-generated
yes.
images, yeah. What Europeans think of Americans. So
This is fun.
well, we'll just pound through it quick because we don't need to read it. But when it comes to Wisconsin, the cheese hats and whatnot, are strong with the force. And so here's the. I'll have to zoom it out. Here's our cheese head, and having been to Wisconsin on several occasions, I can say I've met this guy at least once, probably twice.
I like the big fucking. Was that a big bottle of beer?
Whatever that is supposed to be. Yeah, I think it says like cheddar, so like it might say cheddar, but yeah.
but it's more like Milwaukee's best or something.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, but accurate, representation of a percentage of Wisconsin dwellers.
Probably not even a small percentage.
Nah.
I'm gonna step aside. You keep show.
Ooh, gone. Wyoming, you basically have Clint Eastwood on his horse. The only time I ever went to Wyoming was to drive through it to go from the East Coast to the West Coast, and it is the flattest, straightest place I've ever been. Like I think that if you owned a Tesla car with autopilot, you might make it through the state alive because it's that flat and that straight. Let's see. Oh, is that it? That's really it. Steve, you son of a bitch. So we're gonna go ahead and move over to Genocide Joe. Disclaimer: I don't necessarily agree with everything in this, but I heard Joe Biden described as Genocide Joe, and all the syllables line up with Cotton Eye Joe, and I was just like, you know what? Has anyone done that? Let me look it up. And here's what we got.
I know what America is. America is a thing you can move very easily. Move it in the right direction. They won't get in their way.
If it hadn't been for Netanyahu, I'd be enjoying my yoo-hoo. Killing Arabs is the way to go. Because of him, I'm now Genocide Joe. If it hadn't been for Netanyahu, I'd be enjoying my yoo-hoo. Killing Arabs is the way to go. Because of him, I'm now Genocide Joe. Since I work for Zionist Jews who certainly have a short.
Oh man, you didn't even give me a
Definitely
chance to
there, number
respond.
one ho. Look at me, I'm Genocide
Your
Joe.
thing was very short.
Palestinians are easy to kill, cause I always fund Israel. They drop bombs as Palestinians go. Hey everybody, I'm Genocide Joe. They bomb the towns like the cowards they are, killing innocents as they hide from afar. While Joe Biden getting
So
drunk at the bar, no one ever sees how evil they are. Cause I'm such a white racist, an Arab hating war fascist, killing Arabs the way to go. Look at me, I'm Genocide Joe. I still want your golden oil for my own personal spoils. Since you have nowhere to go, I'll be your personal Genocide Joe.
This
Really
is the world we live
terrible.
in. It's the world we live in, man. Like,
He
It really
brings
is.
disaster wherever he goes. Stands over bodies as their blood still flows. Sad thing about this is that everyone knows. Are these the
Did it give
people
you a
that
graphic
God
content warning?
really chose? Fuck the world and fuck
what was
all.
that?
Did it give you a graphic content warning before you started playing it?
It did, and we did not. But graphic content warning. Yeah,
Trigger
I warned you guys.
You, I'll suck the dick of Netanyahu. He's the only one I'll blow because I'm his Genocide Joe. He can
He's
play
the only
me
one I'll
like a
blow.
yo-yo. I'll keep saying go man go. Zionist dicks is all I blow cause they made me a Genocide Joe.
Jesus.
Jesus Christ. It's so weird.
If you are a pedophile Jew, you get help from Netanyahu, and you become a Zionist Jew. Escape US to do the white and blue. With kids, you always continue to screw, just as long as they're not Jews. Zionist Avenger,
I don't know if
master view.
This is the part that I did not support, so we can stop it right there, probably. Because it's a little off the rails. Yeah. Well, I said earlier, I think there are parts where I didn't hear the lyrics. And
Or are they trying to make the
agree with
connection between Epstein and Mossad?
probably, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh well, we'll never know.
So yeah, I wanted to go up those AI generated images. Did you go through all 50 states in that short period of time?
Are there 50 states? It only showed 2.
Oh no, there's 50 fucking states, brother.
Oh man,
But we
okay.
don't have to go back.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Let me.
No, it's totally fine. I'm sorry. Oh,
wonder-
that's just the end of it. Wisconsin and Wyoming are at the end of the alphabet, bro.
Well, thank you. Yes, I understand that. Here we
Oh,
go.
okay. Well, maybe this article got changed then.
Yeah, I've only got the 2. I disabled all the normal.
Oh yeah,
filters I
okay,
have.
maybe not. Well, never mind. There's a lot of them, and that defeats the purpose of the including them because the point is that like basically Europeans.
Oh, you know
according
what?
to the
Here,
things Europeans put into
damn, Zach Smart. Get rid of
Yes,
number. There was a number
how
in there.
Europeans perceive us, and it's basically like hillbillies.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking, there's a few that are like cowboys, and then
Yeah.
the rest of it is like fat
Alaska.
sports fans.
That looks like Bear Grylls.
Yeah, that one's fairly innocuous, but it's like all
Arizona.
basically
Is that supposed to
overweight.
be ammo? But yeah, it is overweight. Yeah,
Was it ammo?
it looked like it. And that's Avril Lavigne for some reason.
No, that's not
Oh, that's-
California.
okay,
That's just an
then.
ad, bro.
Thank you. Oh, okay. That's accurate though. That's
Pretty accurate,
yeah.
honestly. Of California, little dog coffee, Colorado, Brooke loves.
Tell you what,
Fucking
I'm
crazy motherfucker.
gonna turn the shield back on to get rid of the commercials. Hopefully, there we go.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, but there, you know what's funny is there's a guy that I follow on YouTube named Nathan Barnett, and this looks like an unhinged Nathan Barnett.
Right.
Like it's pretty close.
Delaware got crabs, and it looks like a colonial old timey lady.
Hell
It's
yeah,
so
man!
stupid. But it would also, if you just had like a fat person eating crab,
Where's
it would probably be
Florida? Delaware straight to Georgia. Where's Florida, man? But Georgia Pete. Oh come on, that's
Yeah, peach.
that's statist, I think. Hippies, that's not great. Idaho. Man, that is photo fucking realistic. Photo fucking real. He's like, this is my baby. I done grewed it in my ground for 3 months. Illinois.
So
Okay.
disgusting food, and that guy's not fat, but most of the people are fat. Or like hillbillies. I love the corn.
Yeah.
I love how AI draws corn.
Yeah.
That's
It really
how
seems.
corn looks like.
It really seems like oh man, like farmers wish it was that low. Yeah, but it really seems like you're either a hillbilly or you're fat. Yep. Kentucky. Oh man, this is too slow. But yeah, that was fun. Anyway, we're at 51 minutes.
All right,
You wish
cool.
to
Well, thanks for
continue?
joining us for Shooting the Poodoo, episode 51. We hope you enjoyed yourself, and we hope to see you on Monday when we talk about something.
Probably how
Remember,
we're gonna
folks,
make
when liberty dies, it dies.
with
That's what
thunderous
it wants.
applause.
Bye-bye.
We might make a
Probably
Twitch
better. I'm like
channel.
fucking really sick. I'm having to excuse myself to fucking blow my nose and shit.
We should definitely make a Twitch channel. I think it'd be fun.
You think it'd be more fun?
Yeah, man. We'll just get all the audio rounded up into one place. And we can fucking do individual files, edit it over, make it really fun.
Oh man, I was gonna share something with you. I'll talk to you about it offline. Have a good night, everybody.
Valheim for life, y'all. No Baby Yoda. We're just leaving. Good night.
Just leaving you. Bye bye.